with Potomac Beads. Join me in creating this mala style necklace featuring some gemstones as well as a guru bead. To begin creating your mala style necklace, you want to have your materials on hand. Now a traditional mala is going to have about 108 beads on it. You don't have to do that. It's up to you if you're just looking for the fashion design idea, which is what I'm utilizing. You want some 6mm beads. I'm using the matte Mojave Turquoise. I have some 8mm beads here in the Potomac Crystal Disco Ball in that metallic bronze. And then some 11Os in the chocolate bronze, that dark brown color as well. You also are gonna have your silk cording. Now I'm using a size 6 silk when you're looking at the card here, and it will come wrapped around the card with the needle stuck underneath. I've gone ahead and taken all of this already off the card, and as I do so, making sure not to pull on the actual needle, I'm just doing a nice stretch of the beads or the silk here. And as I'm pulling through my design then, when I'm working on it, I'll have that ability to really stretch out the cord as well. In addition to my beads, I'm also going to be using a little turquoise bead here in that nice little wrapped gold tassel. And then for my tassel, I'm using a silk tassel and just making either a jump ring that you want to have on hand or just a little scrap of wire to go in and make a little bail for that tassel. So traditionally, a mala necklace is going to have 108 beads on it for rituals in kind of the yogi world. I am just going to go for, again, the look here. Now I cut apart my beads and realized I have a pretty big hole in them. So I am going to actually add one of my 11O seed beads in between and after each of my beads to get that style. I've tied a knot in the end of my silk cord, and I'm going to take that collection right down to the knot and then simply tie a knot after that bead, pulling the silk cord the whole way through, making sure that you're not twisting your silk as you're working on it. If you need to, you can watch some of the silk knotting videos or the pearl knotting videos so you can make that nice and tight knot. It's one of those things that the more you practice, the easier and easier it becomes. So I'm going to continue with a total of 10 beads, and then I'm going to get ready to add my larger bead in kind of as a spacer. So on goes one 11O, one of my 6mm beads, one 11O. Let that drop down to my previous bead. Right there, you can see that look that it's going for. And then I'm going to knot. I love the feeling of silk cord, especially for longer knotted necklaces like this, because it just has a really, really nice kind of sway to it and a nice feel. So again, I'm going to continue doing these knots and getting in a total of 10 of these beads for the beginning of my design. If you're looking to reach your number of 108, you can kind of figure out how you want this to sit, how you want the beads to work. But I like the separation after a couple of inches of beads, adding a larger bead. So I took that 8mm disco ball, added it in the same fashion with one of the 11O seed beads on either side. I'm going to do 2 more groupings of 10. So I have 30 beads and we're going to do 33. We're going to get ready toward the bottom then to add the tassel and then this little gemstone charm in the front to get that fun kind of natural bohemian look. As you finish up this first portion of the design here, there are 3 groupings of 10 that I did, and then I did a group of 6 beads leading up to the center. I'm just going for length rather than actual count of beads. I have 3 of my disco balls on here, and I'm going to add another one of my disco balls. So just like I did previously, I'm going to add one of my 11O seed beads, 1 disco ball. Then right after that, I want you to add one of your 6mm beads. Now you can use a guru bead for this. The guru beads are a T-shaped bead. One hole goes the whole way through and one goes halfway through. I have another video showing how to use those, but I recognize that many people may not have them. In her design, Cheryl just used some fun and funky vintage check glass. And what I'm going to do is just use the beads that I have here on hand. I've taken my tassel, which just has the tassel top and doesn't have a loop, and used some 20 gauge wire just to go directly through the tassel, adding my little charm onto it. You can also do this with a jump ring. And then I made an eye pin on the top of the tassel. Some tassels may have a loop at the top. You can also wrap some wire around the tassel to do a little bit of a cap if you want to. I just kept it nice and easy with this little scrap of 20 gold artistic wire, making a nice loop onto my tassel. I'm going to flatten out some of the extra wire that's there. And then I'm going to take my needle and thread through the loop at the top of the tassel. It's going to hang out then here at the base of the necklace. And I'm going to take my thread and needle here, the silk thread and that twisted needle, and go back up through my 6mm round as well as my disco ball. Now this is a fun place if you want to do a statement bead or you kind of have a one of a kind. This is a great place to put that as well. Now I'm going to pull the thread so that way I don't have a lot of thread showing coming out the top here. And I'm going to basically start to go the other way. So to go the other way, I'm grabbing, and you'll see I have my tulip little awl there, or beading reamer. And the awl works really well if you get any knots in the wrong places or if you want to work to tighten them up. Next, I'm going to continue with the same design idea where I have my 1/11 right after my bead. And rather than flinging it across the room here, I'm going to let it drop down next to my piece. And then by tying a knot right after here, I'm kind of locking this in place. So you want to make sure you don't see a lot of extra thread here. And that size 6 thread, the silk thread that I'm using, is great because it'll support the weight from the tassel. Do your knot right after your beads, and then on to repeat on the other side. So you can see how you get that nice mala look. You're adding a couple more beads in if you are looking for a count, and you're getting that nice tassel look with a little charm hanging on it. So once you get your pattern and your design here, you can see I have my 2 groups of 10 and then my 6 there at the bottom, my little tassel here. And what I'm going to do is round out my design here. So that way I have no beads in between my 2 kind of groups here. I want to put just 1 more bead so that way I have the group of 10 sitting in the back. So I need to add 1 more of my 8mm bead. And to do so, I'm coming out of the last of my 6mm beads. I'm going to add 1 more of my 11/0s. I'm going to tie this into a knot. Push that down. And then putting on my last of my disco ball beads, I'm going to add my last 6mm bead. I'm going to put on my 11, put on my disco ball, put on my other 11, and I'm going to knot after this. Once I'm done knotting this, I'm pushing that knot toward the project there. If you want to, as I was showing earlier, you can use this beading awl, put it into the loop, slide it down next to the bead, and then pull it out. You get that nice tight knot. From here, I'm going to take my needle and thread to the other side of the project. I can, if I want to, tie them off right here, but what I'm going to do is try to mask that loop a little bit. So I'm going to take my needle and thread back through the 11, as well as back through the 6mm bead. And then also through to the other side as I pop out and join the 2 sides together. As I pull this thread through that bead, you're going to see that it's going to have those 2 knots kind of right next to one another. I'm going to end up basically cutting that one off just a little shy and adding a little glue. And on the other side of the bead here, before the next 11/0, I'm going to take my thread and needle and create a knot. So I have my loop, taking my thread and my needle there, the silk thread and the needle, through that loop, and I'm going to knot it between that 11/0 seed bead and between the gemstone. The gemstone has a decent size hole that you'll be able to pull that through. Drop a little 2 dabs here of my Loctite glue on either sides of the knot and trim the edges down to have that nice finished endless style of your mala look necklace. Thanks so much for joining me in creating this fun mala style necklace. Remember, if you need any materials, you can check out the links below to shop with us online at PotomacBeads.com as well as PotomacBeads.eu. Remember also to comment, say exactly the techniques, the styles, different counts that you do that you like to look at, and some ideas and inspiration for those watching. You can also ask any questions in that comment section below, and I'll check those out as well. If you haven't yet, hit that little subscribe button so you don't miss anything from us here at Potomac Beads. As always, thank you so much for watching. Enjoy your mala style necklace and have fun and happy beading.